Hello everybody, it's your man JT and I am coming at you with my final mock draft as we look forward to the 2017 NFL mock draft this upcoming Thursday. Now we have found out pretty much everything there is to know. We got pro days, we got visits, we got schedule releases, we got free agency, we got the combine, all of it is behind us, and now we just wait these final few days before the draft, before everybody gathers around, sees what their teams get. It's called the Christmas of football off season because you don't really know what you're gonna get and how it's going to impact your team. But this is my final mock draft, so just to clarify, this is a mock draft primarily based on what I believe will happen. So what I think teams might do, even though that's kind of a hard game to play when it comes to predicting because we don't really know what these teams are thinking, but just kind of looking at their needs, looking at who's in charge and how this draft may turn out. So here we go. I am going to go through each and every pick for this final video. So let's get into it. We have the Cleveland Browns picking #1 overall, and they take Myles Garrett. I don't want to hear anything about a quarterback here. Listen, you just need a good player. You just need this kind of talent at the #1 spot in the draft. You have the 12th overall pick. You got the second round. You got next year. You can get a quarterback. There's not a quarterback worth taking #1 overall. Take Myles Garrett. #2 overall, Lenord Fournett to the San Francisco 49ers. And yes, I understand they have Carlos Hyde, but there's no problem in having two good running backs, as Kyle Shanahan, the new head coach of the 49ers, would know with his time with the Atlanta Falcons, as they had a few good running backs actually as well as wide receivers. And so I think this will be a move by the Niners to build up that offense and get some weapons early on. #3, I have the Chicago Bears taking Solomon Thomas, defensive end out of Stanford. I think they could use some definite upgrades on the defensive side of the ball, and I think this would give them a big athletic guy that can get after the quarterback, do some other things for you. Good pickup. Jacksonville Jaguars, maybe an interesting pick here at 4 because Lenord Fournett, which would probably be the obvious choice, isn't available. He went to San Francisco, so now we have Malik Hooker going 4th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They do have a lot of good talent on paper, but it still hasn't really came through, so I still feel like they could use some help on the defensive side of the ball, to be completely honest with you. You get Hooker, maybe you can put him at safety, at cornerback, behind Ramsey and AJ. So I don't know, but they would definitely have a loaded defense on paper if they made that selection. The Tennessee Titans are now up, and what a gift this pick is, to be completely honest with you. They get it from the St. Louis Rams, or LA Rams now actually. And so with this pick, they're going to take Johnathen Allen. Maybe not the #1, #2 prospect that some people were thinking early on in this draft process, but I do think still a very good talent, and you put him on Tennessee's defense. Tennessee built up their team mostly because of that offensive line, so why wouldn't you want to take that same approach and apply it to the defensive side of the ball? Get a big defensive lineman early on. I think it's a good pick for them. #6, the New York Jets are going to take Marishon, Lattimore, cornerback. They could use some secondary help, absolutely. Revis is gone, so now you put in Marishon, Lattimore. I think this would be a very good pickup, and if he was still available, because Tennessee could definitely take him, I think the New York Jets would definitely go in this direction. #7, the Los Angeles Chargers. Their biggest need is on the defensive side of the ball, no doubt. But ultimately, the Chargers have avoided any kind of real rebuilding mode. They're heading to LA. They still have Phillip Rivers. And for the most part, it seems like they want to be a team that can win, even though the roster might not be there. And the only way you're going to win is ultimately Phillip Rivers. You're going to have to give him something. So I'm going to give them O.J. Howard, tight end out of Alabama. Give him another weapon and probably the future replacement to Antonio Gates. #8, the Carolina Panthers get safety Jamal Adams out of LSU. I think this would be a great pickup for the Carolina Panthers. Help out a secondary that definitely needs it. I know they could look running back. not with that kind of talent on the board. Number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to take Derek Barnett out of Tennessee, defensive end, and keeping him in orange. I think the Bengals could definitely use some defensive end help. 2 have already gone, so maybe they look a different direction. But just thinking about what's on the board right now, I think this is the pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. Up next, number 10, the Buffalo Bills are going to take Mike Williams, so they'll get that Clemson wide receiver duo going. But Sammy Watkins has definitely been, for the most part, the wide receiver we felt he could be when he came out of college. But he's had some injuries, already had some surgeries, and really behind him, the Buffalo Bills don't have a whole lot at wide receiver. So I think they get a very good wide receiver here in Mike Williams. Number 11, New Orleans Saints, one of the wild cards in this draft. It's kind of tough to determine where they're going to go, especially because they have 2 first-round picks. So maybe they might reach on something here because they think they can get something at 32. And I definitely think they need defensive help here. So I'm going Adoree Jackson. Maybe a little high, but I feel like this could be an Eli Apple kind of pick where he went higher than anybody really expected. And people kind of fell in love with him, and I think Adoree has that same kind of athleticism and potential that people may really like, and so maybe New Orleans takes him a little high here, but you know what, it is what it is. Number 12, the Cleveland Browns get their quarterback out of North Carolina, Mitchell Trubisky, the Ohio boy, now playing for the Cleveland Browns. This seems to be the clear quarterback that they want. They like not only his upside and what he showed in his year as the starter in North Carolina, but of course just the story of him from Ohio and the fact that probably not too many other quarterbacks may be psyched about playing for the Browns, to be completely honest. I just still don't see him needing to trade up. I understand people are saying 1 or 2 quarterbacks could go in the top 10, maybe. But if so, I think it would just be a sign that quarterbacks are always going to go way too high in the draft. And if there's a good one, he's going number 1 overall. Because when you look at the top 10, not a lot of teams really need a quarterback. You got the Browns, Niners, sure. Jaguars aren't going to get one. The Jets, I mean, can they really afford to add another quarterback? And after that, you really don't have another team till maybe Buffalo, who just decided to keep Tyrod Taylor. So I don't think there's nearly the threat to take a quarterback in the top 10 that people believe there is. He goes to Cleveland. Also, I have Deshaun Watson. So back-to-back quarterbacks. He goes to the Arizona Cardinals. I did this in my first mock draft, and now for my last one, I have come full circle. I just think this is the way to go. Mitchell goes to Cleveland. Deshaun goes to Arizona. Gives him maybe as much as a year and a half. Maybe even start sooner, depending on Carson Palmer's health. To learn, he'd have Bruce Arians. He fixed out some things, and then they would have a very exciting, proven quarterback in Arizona to take over. A pretty good roster still, nonetheless. Number 14, the Philadelphia Eagles get Christian McCaffery. They definitely need a running back, and even though I think Dalvin Cook is my number 2 running back. 1, this is what I think the Eagles will do. And secondly, I just think this is a little bit more of what they need. He can catch the ball, he can kick return, he can run, he can do all these kinds of things, and the Eagles need a lot of players on offense, and so he could do a lot of things for them. And I think Carson Wentz would definitely be happy with this pick, no doubt. Number 15, the Indianapolis Colts take Reuben Foster. I understand some of the injury things going on, and now the failed drug test, and so he's probably is going to fall. But I got to stop the madness here. I mean, if you are the Colts, you've done a pretty good job, low-key, improving your defense with Johnathen Hankins and Jamal Shepard, and, really trying to get that side of the ball up to where Andrew Luck in the offense is. You can't pass on Reuben Foster if you're me. And I think the Colts would know that, and they would take him in a heartbeat here at 15. Number 16, the Baltimore Ravens are going to take wide receiver Corey Davis. It seems pretty obvious that the Ravens have to take either a wide receiver or a cornerback. Here at this pick, they get the wide receiver, the big man out of Western Michigan. Number 17, the Washington Redskins are going to take Marlon Humpreys, cornerback Alabama. Like me some Alabama guys. I got 4 in my top 20 here, and another one going to the Washington Redskins, helping them out, giving Josh Norman a little bit of help in that secondary. Very good pickup, I think, for the Redskins here. The Tennessee Titans are going to take Gareon Conley, the cornerback out of Ohio State. Another Buckeye going as well. A lot of Alabama players and Buckeyes at the top of the draft. And the Tennessee Titans get Johnathen Allen early on in the draft, and then they improve the secondary. Their offense took a step forward last year, and I think with these two picks, their defense could take a step forward. No doubt about it. Number 19, Tampa Bay gets their man, Dalvin Cook, running back out of FSU. They'll have Winston, Dalvin Cook, Robert Aguayo, the Tampa Bay Seminoles in town. But I just don't know if you can trust Doug Martin and what they got there. So I think this would be a very good pickup, all kidding aside, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 20, the Denver Broncos are going to take offensive guard Forrest Lamb. So my first offensive lineman. A little bit of a weak class, but I think for the Denver Broncos, Lamb would be tremendous value here and would continue to help out that offensive line as they try to build up something on the offensive side of the ball. Number 21, the Detroit Lions are going to get Hassan Reddick, linebacker out of Temple. Just another example of some really good defensive talent, here in this draft. And I think the Detroit Lions get their hands on some right here at the linebacker position. Number 22, the Miami Dolphins. And they are another one of these wildcard teams where you don't really know which direction they're going. They could use help pretty much at any defensive position, certainly on the offensive line, but I'm going linebacker Jared Davis out of Florida. He has been a hot name as of late. The Dolphins could be looking for another linebacker, so I think this is a pick that could make a great deal of sense. The New York Giants are going to take Ryan Ramczyk, the offensive tackle out of Wisconsin. They definitely need some tackle help, and they get a big one out of Wisconsin, a good place to go get you some offensive line help usually. And here's another example of that as the G-men try to bump up that offensive line so they can throw the ball to Odell Beckham, Brandon Marshall, Shepard, all those wide receivers they got out there. Number 24, the Oakland Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. They are up on the clock and they take not Jared Davis, Zach Cunningham. Got my SEC linebackers mixed up, but they get another good defensive player that comes off the board here, and they are going to take Zach Cunningham. He's a hard guy, hard hitter, tackling machine. I think he would fit in perfectly with that Raiders defense. Maybe they could look secondary, but didn't love anybody here at 24, so just get a good player, Number 25, the Houston Texans take Pat Mahomes II, another hot name out of Texas Tech. This guy can make any throw on the field. He can throw the ball ridiculously far, has lots of athleticism. Definitely kind of what you would call a raw prospect or a bit of a gamble. But for the Houston Texans, it's a gamble you probably have to take. You really need a quarterback. You got the defense. You got the offensive weapons. You need that quarterback. And unless you feel like trading up for a Mitchell or a Deshaun Watson, you're probably going to have to take a Kaiser or a Mahomes, somebody that's a little bit more potential than talent, and just hope that potential materializes in the NFL. At number 26, however, the Seattle Seahawks are going to take Takkarist McKinley. I always mess up on that name, unfortunately, but he is going to head to the home of the 12s, and while their needs probably a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball or in the secondary, this is a best player available pick, and teams like Seattle take best player available. They get a great defensive end that they could use as a rotational guy to replace somebody down the road, keep that defense intact. This is the kind of pick that teams like Seattle make when guys are up here and they fall a little bit in the draft. Number 27, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take John Ross. They have tons of offensive talent, the Kansas City Chiefs do, and I think they get another speedy, dangerous threat right here in John Ross out of Washington. Number 28, the Dallas Cowboys are going to take Taco Charlton, defensive end out of Michigan. The Dallas Cowboys could definitely use some help in that defense, and especially at the pass rushing position. Taco, a tall, athletic, long body guy. I think he would be a great pickup for them. If he was still available, I think both him and Tack fell a little bit than I realistically think they will fall in the draft. But hey, somebody's got to fall, and if Dallas could get him a player like this, I think it'd be good news. Number 29, the Green Bay Packers take Quincy Wilson, cornerback out of Florida, kind of help them out in that secondary. It definitely needs some help as they get a great man coverage cornerback, a ball hawk, a guy with great awareness, a guy that I think has been severely underrated in this draft process. I think he is much better than he'll probably end up going, but this is where I'm going to have him. Number 30, the Pittsburgh Steelers take Jabril Peppers. Take the wild card. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Who knows? But the Steelers, their defense is trying to get younger and faster. So I'm going to give you a young, fast playmaker in Jabril Peppers. Number 30, the Atlanta Falcons take Cam Robinson. The Falcons don't have too many needs, but this is good value. Cam Robinson is a great big body offensive lineman out of Alabama. You can throw him into the interior of your O-line, and he could be that last piece you need to really make your offense special and try and get back to the Super Bowl. And last but certainly not least, the New Orleans Saints take David Njoku, tight end out of Miami, as Miami is known for producing these athletic freaks at tight end, and they produce another one here in Njoku, and he is going to go to New Orleans, as I think New Orleans could be looking for some athleticism. They took Adoree Jackson earlier, now they're taking Njoku. Both maybe a little bit of risk to them, but that could be just the risk New Orleans needs to get out of that 7-9 spot and maybe start putting some winning records up on the board. You do have Drew Brees, and you're not going to have him forever, so you got to try and win now. And that is it. That is my final mock draft. All of the picks will be in the description or comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and who do you want your team to draft in the 2017 NFL Draft, and I will see you later.